What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode of Coaching for Millennials. I am your host, Jose Miguel Longo, and I'm excited to be with you here today because in this episode, I'm actually going to share with you some great information for people who are looking to create a business. So this is for my folks who are entrepreneurs out there who are probably thinking about wanting to start a business but aren't sure how. In this episode, I'm going to share with you a playbook for how to manage your mindset, strategies, and how to be successful in creating your side hustle. So let's dive in, and I can't wait for you to take a listen. All right, friends. Well, welcome to the episode. I'm really excited to introduce this topic to you. Before I jump right into anything, I wanted to mention that this topic was an inspiration from another podcast episode that I was actually a guest on. I was with one of my good friends who has his own podcast, and he's actually a career coach. And his focus is on helping people who are pivoting from being in a career to wanting to be an entrepreneur. And so I had the really good opportunity to connect with him and really be on his show to share my knowledge and background of doing kind of the same thing. I mean, I went from being in the corporate world to the higher education world to having my own coaching practice to having a podcast and having multiple successful businesses. So I'm going to share my knowledge and wisdom here. But what I'm really going to be doing is kind of giving you a playbook. So I'm going to break down different parts of what it's like to build a business, along with giving you the step-by-step guide for managing your mindset, the strategies to be successful, and then also how to be a great side hustler. Ultimately, people who are millennials that are looking to start a business are getting these ideas from watching other people, right? And so oftentimes, you might be scrolling through Instagram and you get a thought that you say to yourself, I could totally do that. Or you really wish you want to ditch the 9 to 5. So, you're not alone in this. This journey is something that for so many people, for so many millennials, we always want an opportunity. We have a dream of being able to ditch our 9 to 5 or ditch that job that we have that might be bringing us down or weighing us down and not making us feel fulfilled, to then pivot to having something that we have control of your time, control of your finances, control of what you do and how you do it, and when you're doing it and where you're doing it. So really empowering. I also want to mention that if you've listened to this podcast before, I have other episodes where I talk about my digital entrepreneur business, which is digital marketing. I actually work on a different business that I have, which is called Side Hustle Manifest. And I basically coach individuals who are looking to get into the digital marketing space. So I'm a kind of a mentor / coach. And for myself, don't see myself spending time as a digital entrepreneur to create digital products other than the ones that I create from my coaching practice. However, I have created digital products in my digital entrepreneur business for the sake of promoting and really engaging people to wanting to jump in. Be aware that I may reference that episode, and I believe it was like one episode 117 or something like that. You can go back and look at the list of episodes, and I'll link it in the show notes for easy reference. I don't always remember all of the number of episodes, but I know it's in the 100 teens, so to speak. So getting back to this topic, I really want to focus the idea of this from starting and growing a business and emphasizing the fact that in order for you to be successful in having a business and starting a business, you have to manage that. Mindset is everything in life. If we're stuck, we need clarity. If we don't have clarity, then we can't get focused. If we're not focused, then we can't take action. Those are things that are pivotal to your success in anything you do in life. So when I talk about the characteristics of having an entrepreneurial mindset, take notes because you're going to want to write these characteristics down for yourself to be able to go back and take a listen to either what I'm referencing when it comes to that, or at least have it written down on a post-it next to your computer so that you remember that while you're doing the work, while you're diving into creating your business plan, or while you're diving into creating your financial statements, whatever it is that you're trying to do to create a business, that you keep that mindset in the back of your mind. It's really important. It's very critical for your success. And I think the other piece of it too is that I want you to leave from this episode with some really good call to action or action items to get you started. And if you're looking for more support or help, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to walk you through some steps and give you some guidance. Connect with me on social media to get all that information. So first step here is thinking about the entrepreneurial mindset. And this goes along with the millennial mindset. I mentioned the millennial mindset. If you haven't grabbed a copy of my book, go get it. It's called The Millennial Mindset. And I actually have a chapter that talks about millennial entrepreneurs. So I don't reference all of the actual characteristics of entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial mindset. However, I do give key points that can give you an easy, actionable step to get over to what you're trying to achieve, or being able to help you take the next step to what you are trying to achieve. So when we think about what you need to be successful, there's so many things. The first I want to mention here is boldness over fear. For millennials, we've always taken risks. We're known as the risk takers of almost all the generations. And let's be honest, we only live once, right? The term YOLO came from millennials. And when you have that spirit, you're able to really dig deep into making some moves and really being able to channel that energy to strategize what it is that you're trying to do. Be aware that the people who have some of the biggest businesses started somewhere, right? Some people started those businesses in their garage. Some people started those businesses in their dorm room, aka Amazon, aka Facebook. These are individuals who are millennials. Now, Jeff Bezos may not be a millennial. He's clearly between the Gen X and the Gen Y, but at the same time, you have to start somewhere. So don't be scared. Lean into that fear. Get uncomfortable with your fear. Be able to take that mindset of, I'm scared to start this, and start taking action. One small step can lead to a lot of pivots later, but at least do it with fear. And I always talk about this in anything that I reference. Also moving into this, looking at how our generation particularly is the DIY generation. We take opportunities and we use our creativity to be innovative. We're disruptors of industries. And the reason we build businesses that are successful is because we use our values as a generation to keep us being motivated, to keep us moving. The other thing I want to mention is that we're resilient, right? Resiliency is this generation's superpower. When it comes to being able to do something, and if we fall on our asses, we get back up. We don't give up on what it comes down to. If you're the person who feels that you struggle with getting back up, find that accountability partner. Find those people who are going to be your cheerleader. Hire a coach. That might be an initial investment that you make in helping you strategize on creating your business. What's important here is that resilience is the superpower. So do your research. Understand the market that you're going to. Understand the products you're trying to create. Understand who your niche is and who your avatar is, so that when you're creating your business plan, you have a clear, focused funnel of what it is that you're trying to achieve. Without those things, you're not going to be able to leverage the opportunity to really be successful, but also you may find yourself failing more than getting ahead. Now, failure is equivalent to success. Not all failure means that you failed at life. When you fail at something, you get back up and you try again. We're not that generation, right? We get up and we keep going. We're motivated and we're encouraged by others, and we motivate others around us. So always remember that. The other thing that's important to know, that you want to pivot and not be scared to pivot. We're the generation that grew up with tech, and tech changes constantly. We have to remain adaptable. We have to always know that we're going to have to stay ahead of trends, and we need to meet our customers where they are. I can't emphasize this enough. It's important that we stay adaptable, important we stay curious, and important that we also remain at the trends of what's happening in today's world. If you're that person who's always in that loop of scrolling on Instagram, the doom scrolling as so many people call it, get out of that. Start to track how you're actually spending your time. Everybody's phone has a tracker. Look at the apps that you're using. Look for the ways that you can at least get the idea that you want, write them down in a notebook, and start taking action. And when it comes to pivoting, just because you have an idea, your idea is unique to you. You need to sell that to yourself. don't worry about everybody else and don't worry about all the other people. Be more concerned with you believing and what it is that you're trying to promote, what you're trying to sell, what you're trying to create, and then focus on finding who your ideal client is. I know that's a lot of framing for so many different talking points, but I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the juicy goodness or all the golden nuggets so that you're capturing them. So you may want to save this episode or play it slowly so that you can then pause and write down the notes of all of the wisdom that I'm sharing with you. The next point here is stay curious as fuck. It's really important that you leverage the information that our generation has. Let's always keep in the mindset of why and how. Stay curious. Be open to new ideas. Never stop learning from the people around you. Never stop learning from communities. And always engage in an opportunity with asking questions. When you ask questions from others, that gives you an opportunity to understand what someone else's ideas are that you can implement into your business and see how it works into your actual business development. Right now, I'm actually building my business plan for my Side Hustle Manifest. Why? When I initially started Side Hustle Manifest, I thought I was going to be a digital marketer. I thought I was going to be focused on creating digital products to sell to people who wanted to come into digital marketing. And what I realized after working with a couple of clients that I had, that I really wanted to spend more time focusing on the coaching aspect. I'm a coach by nature. I know that's my strength. I'm leaning into that really hard. And so I wanted to rewrite what my business plan originally was so that I can secure that for the future. If I ever need to look for funding, if I really want to present it to somebody, if I'm looking to be able to promote my business in a unique way to organizations or a community, having a business plan is what you leverage to promote what you're trying to sell. And it's not always something you're going to use to sell to a consumer, but if you're trying to leverage a particular audience that really needs to, you really want to have your business as a touch point, that's when a business plan comes in handy. It's also important if you're wanting to secure funding. So that's a whole different topic of conversation. That's almost a whole different episode. Today is more of the framing of the mindset piece to get you started. The next talking point here is collaboration is key. Forget the lone wolf entrepreneur. What's really important is that you have a community that can build you, a community that can support you, and having a network where you can share ideas and share information. It's really important that you have people that can lift you up. I already mentioned before, getting a coach or finding a person that can be your accountability partner. Those are things that are really, really important. And I think it's really important from the perspective of staying on target when you're trying to reach a particular goal of achieving these different touch points in your business, particularly when you're just getting started. So when we think about all these different traits, when we think about all of these different key points from a mindset perspective, I'm going to read them back to you so that you can write them down one by one. The first I mentioned was boldness over fear. That's the one where you have to take fear and lean into it, right? Do things messy. Don't be so scared of trying to be perfect. Perfection doesn't get you anywhere. When you actually take the opportunity to start something and you lean into practice versus perfection, or you lean into being able to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to see how it works, lean into that. Take that space. So boldness over fear. This one's more of the DIY piece, right? So hacking the system, as opposed to always going with what the green of what you're being told to do, hack that system. Be innovative. Be your own person. Be unique. But also don't be scared to ask people for support. Always remember that. Point number 3 is being able to be resilient. Resiliency is going to be key, and it's going to be a foundation for your success and every step of your business, regardless of where you are in that journey. Pivot. Pivot is critical. It's part of being adaptable. It's part of being able to change. It's a part of being able to stay ahead of the curve and always understanding where to meet your customer. Staying curious as fuck. I mean, I can't be as any direct as that, right? Staying curious AF for the ones that want the explicit language removed. Always being open to new ideas, always asking the questions. And anything that you're writing down, you always want to ask yourself the why and the how. Why am I doing this? Why are we making this change? Why are we going to move in this direction? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make these changes? How are we going to fund this? How are we moving into this direction? So really being open to that. And then lastly, collaboration. I can't really emphasize that enough. Collaboration is really important. The next space or section that I want to focus on is how do you start and scale? One of the pieces that when I started Side Hustle Manifest, my whole mission is based on dreaming big, starting small, and scaling fast. Those are the foundational elements of the mantra and the manifesto that Side Hustle Manifest is about. Side Hustle Manifest is focused on the 9-to-5er that's looking to escape the 9-to-5 and have more freedom and more control over their time, over their resources, over what they're doing from their day-to-day, and being able to feel fulfilled and invigorated and inspired in what they're doing every single day. That's what Side Hustle Manifest is all about. And when I think of this framing of starting, strategies for starting and scaling, I think of exactly that. So key point here, number one, validate your idea. Don't just dream it, test it, right? You're using existing networks, using social media, or even try to find a way that you can create some sort of a pre-sale towards a product or service that you're creating. Be open to getting feedback with who you're sharing this with. This is going to be really important to testing your product and seeing if it's going to work. When you have a social media presence, know that if you're going to create a business, if you don't have social media, then you need to create on social media. But if you already have social media, you may want to be mindful of, do you want to create a new social media business account and separate that from your personal? That's something to bear in mind, and I can talk more about what that looks like later. But using your network of people to engage and help them with what you're trying to create. Go for communities that are entrepreneurial or starting a business or whatever that looks like. And again, the people who are around you, find the people that are going to be your cheerleaders that are going to support you in that journey. So again, validate your ideas. Don't just dream it, okay? Start lean. Forget all the fancy office 5-year business plan kind of bullshit. Small steps for the win. We want to be able to create something that can get you really far ahead quickly, but also be able to create something that's viable, that's going to get you results. When you think about what you want your business to look like, focus on what you can do today and what you can do from a year from now. Yes, when you create a business plan, you have to create some projections on what you can estimate your business to make from sales. That's from a perspective of looking for fundraising or looking for funding. That's not from the perspective of what you see your business being as a holistic umbrella of your products and services. What I mean by this is focusing on what you want to actually give and share to the world that you're going to offer. Here's a piece of wisdom. I always believe that every single person in this world has a unique gift that they were intended to be doing on this earth. And sometimes people struggle with uncovering what that gift is, uncovering how to use their strengths to define that gift and be able to express it, or just defining what it is from a purpose perspective. So from a coaching perspective, I dig deep with people. I help them uncover those little pieces of peeling back the layers of the onion to get them to where they want to go and where they want to be. From starting lean, from this perspective, I want you to really take the idea that really kind of planted the seed in your head that you wanted to start a business and always keep that in the back of your mind. That's going to be your motivation. That's going to be the thing that keeps you always wanting to know that, like, this is why I'm doing this. What is your why? That's what it comes down to. Ask yourself, what is your why? And remember that. Next key point here is hustle smarter. So time is your most valuable asset. I can't tell you from a podcast perspective, a coaching perspective, as a business owner, how valuable time is. I have had the unique opportunity recently where I've been able to use my time to create resources and tools that are going to be fundamentally influential in the next phase of the next 6 months of my business. What do I mean by that? I created an ebook. I created a free guide, redesigned what my website was supposed to be. And instead, I kind of just created a landing page until I can get a more refined website. And then I redid all of my coaching packages to be more aligned with who I am today and the products and services I want to offer to people. Those things took time. I had the gift of time. But when you're someone who works a full-time job, aka, most of us probably do, you want to be able to identify tools that you can use to automate and streamline certain tasks. Don't be afraid to outsource the things that you're not good at. Case in point, I struggled for probably 4 or 5 months to redo my website when I decided that I wanted to relaunch my business. I'm not a web developer. I don't know jack shit about creating a website or designing a website. I found someone on Fiverr. Fiverr is a freelance tool that you can use to hire people. And you can find some really great people in there and you can find some really crappy people there. I unfortunately got, in this case, for this particular project, someone that wasn't that good. And after months and months of trying to go back and forth and trying to fix things, I just made a decision to create a landing page, like link in bio type of thing. I use Beacons AI. Beacons AI actually has a website platform that I'm building right now on my own that's actually really easy to do, as opposed to all the techie stuff that I couldn't really figure out. I can always leave a link for a referral for using Beacons AI, but it's pretty sleek. I mean, I have a landing page that gets you to my free guide, and that helped me build an email list, and that invites you to my newsletter. And then I have my products and services, and it has a video, and it has information, and it has how to get a hold of me. Like, it has everything you need. It's essential. Don't be scared that if you think you need specific things, but you don't know how to do the specific thing, to ask for help and outsource it. Remember, your time is your key to your success. Your time is precious. The next point here is build your tribe. Find your cheerleaders, find a mentor, connect with other entrepreneurs, join online communities, seek advice from those who've been there. I can't stress that enough. I feel like this time around, spending, the first 4 years of being a business owner and a coach, I was booked and busy in 2020 when I launched my business. And after taking a break in 2022 to 2024, I had to rebuild. And I really wanted to do things the right way so that I wasn't making all the mistakes that I made and spending all the money that I spent the first time around. So I was really being a lot smarter in how much I was investing into my business, where I was getting my money and was doing it solo, but also who was going to be my cheerleader, who's going to be my support system, and who are the folks that are going to be out there really providing me with guidance and mentorship. So build your tribe. Super, super important. The next talking point or point to reference here is celebrate the wins. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. You want to take time to acknowledge your progress, even the small victories, and not to forget to give yourself a break. For your mindset, your mental health, and all things that go with it, even for your family's sake, taking a break is going to be important, but also acknowledging all the different things that you've done to get you from point A to point B in between, and then from point A to point C in between as well. So important. Ultimately here, I've just kind of outlined 2 critical reference points to give you a walkthrough of how to take action and how to stay consistent with the mindset and how to start moving in the direction where you're actually putting your actions to work. I want to keep going here and take you to the next point from this perspective. I want to invite you to 2 things. First, go to my website, coachingformillennials.com. Download my free guide, which is Unstuck to Focused. And this is going to help you create a healthy mindset that's going to allow you to pivot in the direction that you want to go from a business perspective. Now, obviously, the mindset piece from that perspective isn't focused on business from the guide perspective, but the mindset kind of overlaps each other. And in the guide, I also have a framework that's specific on emotional intelligence, which is going to be important and help you navigate how you continue to roll into your business and develop your business and your ideas. I think that's so important for you to start someplace where you have a clear understanding the direction that you're going, that you have clarity on your niche, clarity on your audience, clarity on your avatar, and clarity on the product you're going to create. So important. That particular guide will give you all those things to get you started. Now, the next thing I want you to do, number 2, is buy my book. It's an ebook. It's 50 pages long. It is $7. You can find it on my website, coachingformillennials.com. Now, I mentioned before early on that the ebook actually has a chapter that's focused on entrepreneurship for millennials. Now, it doesn't go as deep as I went today. It's like a 2-page chapter giving you some really key strategies for success as an entrepreneur, but also giving you enough information that I think is going to be successful and helpful for you and driving the direction that you take in being actionable, in getting the resources you need, and knowing and understanding what you're trying to do. So getting you from point A to at least point C, forget about the rest of the different steps, starting point. The last thing I want to mention is that I want to leave you with the specific mindset characteristics. I mentioned a few of them, but I want to give you another starting point. And I'm going to go through these relatively fast. The first one is courage. This mindset of courage is leaning into that fear. It's leaning into being able to be inspired. It's leaning into be able to know that as an entrepreneur, as a newbie, as someone who wants to start a business, that it can be challenging and it can be scary. But if you really want this to be successful, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Okay? Always ask yourself, what is your why? What is your why and why are you doing this? The next characteristic is creativity. When you're a business owner, you're always going to face different challenges at different points of your business. You may have problems that you have to solve on a day-to-day basis, and there may be days where it's going to be really great and you won't have anything to stop. And also be aware that you're going to have competition. You have to understand, how are you going to compete and what separates you from those other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing? I can tell you that from that perspective, always keep in mind who you are as an individual and your identity. That's what separates you from the competitor, what you bring to the table. So always be aware of that when it comes to creativity. The next one is resilience. I mentioned this before, I mentioned it again. Everyone as a millennial, we have thrived out of resiliency. We've built and we are quick to adjust and we're quick to pivot. These are the things that make us the generation that we are, but also anybody can be resilient. And building resilience is out of being able to fall and get back up, to be able to see that you failed. And that failure doesn't mean that you failed in life. It means that you had a misstep and you need to keep going. So be aware of that when you have those moments that you feel like you had a setback, and you can quickly pivot and recover. Now, along with pivoting comes adaptability. So this is the next characteristic. Adaptability is going to be super important to be able to change and know that change is required in having a business. I can't stress this enough. When you're adaptable, it means it allows you the opportunity to be able to know that sometimes things may not work, and sometimes you need to be okay and lean into that fear or the thing that makes you uncomfortable to make the pivot. Super important. Second to last one is curiosity. Always ask questions. Always reach out to people to be able to help you getting that clear and constructive feedback that you need to be able to know you're moving in the right direction. Curiosity is something that gives you validation. It gives you the opportunity to know that you are doing the thing that you really want to do, but also know that you're doing it with purpose and with intention. And that people around you support that because they see that what you're doing is needed. And the last thing is being humble. When you have this is a skill that oftentimes I think most people don't realize they have it deep down inside of them. But as a business owner, you have to be very open-minded that you need other people around you and you have to ask for help. I myself struggled with this my whole entire life. It wasn't until the last maybe 10 years, I started to realize that I can't do everything in my life on my own. And my partner my husband has been the one to really help me open my eyes up. He asks me for help more than anybody I've ever known. And that was where it kind of turned the switch for me to really be able to see that it's okay to ask for help, to not always feel like you have to do everything alone, that you're alone on an island and isolating yourself. So find those people who are going to be your cheerleader. Find those people who are going to be your accountability partner. Look for a coach. I'm raising my hand here. I'm here to support you. And my coaching products and services are specific to career and are specific to life coaching. But I've helped actually a lot of businesses get started in my coaching practice because of how connected that is to life. You're making a huge life commitment and life change that you're pivoting to from going from one career to another and driving and going into a direction of becoming an entrepreneur. There's nothing more powerful than doing that for yourself. So let me be your cheerleader. Let me be your support system. Let me be your coach. Having said all that, I feel like I've been talking forever without a break, but my mind goes having this ADHD brain that I have. And when I get these ideas and I get these inspirations, I just need to spit it out and put it out there. So I literally was working on some stuff. I grabbed the microphone, hit record, put a little bit of talking points to help me frame my ideas and kind of bring that all to you. So just know that everything comes in an organic way, and sometimes inspiration hits you when you least expect it. I hope this episode lights you up. I hope this episode really gives you the fire that you need to explore entrepreneurship and, as a millennial, create a framework for success for your mindset as an entrepreneur, but also give you strategies for success. I wish you the best in the journey, and please know to reach out if you have any questions. Now, if this episode left you feeling motivated, inspired, and engaged, share it with someone. Be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and comment and let us know what you thought. Share it with the world, because nothing means more to me when this podcast gets shared with the world and more of my work and my inspiration is being shared with people that need to need it. Thank you so much. Love and light. Peace out, boo. Bye.